Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. Pasta Jardula here.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to slap you.
I'm sorry.
I'm Fiorella, guys. What's up?
Jonny Tsunami on the ones and twos. That better?
You don't have to be sad. I'm just saying, don't overdo it. Don't be an overactor. You know who's an overactor?
Who?
AOC. She's an overactor.
No. Dude, let me send this really quick to my mother. I just sent her that Bitcoin is up. I made mother buy Bitcoin. And
good. We're trying to get, our parents to buy
Did
Bitcoin
they buy
too.
any?
No, they need to, though.
Really?
They need to, yeah.
Johnny, you didn't get them on board? Guys, listen, ladies and gentlemen. We're used to like 200, 300, 400 people in the thing.
Oh, my God.
There's only 65. No, what I'm saying, fam, is the
like
YouTube. I'm talking about suppression. Not elitism. Suppression.
But you must be a right-wing fascist, Nazi, white supremacist, TERF,
Nazi sympathizer.
Yeah.
Like somebody called our boy Johnny Graz a Nazi sympathizer. We love you, Johnny Graz. We know you, baby. We know who that was. We'll talk about that person today in the show as well. Yeah. But guys, let me just say this real quick before we get started. We have a great show for you today. This is the first time we are back on the couch since we've gone and been...
yeah, and there are people out there who are trying to call ourselves conspiracy couch, and
we
it's
are.
like
we're the conspiracy.
Are you like a CIA asset for? Do you realize like the CIA uses the words conspiracy theory like to discredit actual truth? You know when you say that, like, it's no longer like cool, like it's no longer anything that people take seriously. Is like everything's a conspiracy theory now. Like,
you
it's
must
ridiculous.
be talking about the Democratic establishment,
of course,
and their neo-progressive left, that are now using words like sedition and coup. Yeah. Wow, where you been since we've been talking about this stuff for a long time?
Do you know about all the coups America has participated in?
Fam, I know there was a coup on the steps of the Capitol the other day.
Oh my God, such a coup!
I know.
A bunch
by
of
the way,
looking motherfuckers are cooing America. Sure.
We'll coup who we want to coup. That was Elon Musk. By the way, Rokfin, you are not alone. Kathy Looney, Jackie Pagawa is there. Fred Edward. What up, Fred Edward?
Edward.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Kathy.
we have 84 subscribers. Our next goal on Rokfin is to get to 100. So help us out. Go over to Rokfin. Even if you can't subscribe, at least go over there. Open up an account for free. Add free entertainment content that doesn't suppress people who say what they want to say, fam, because suppression is upon us, is it not?
It absolutely is, fam. It absolutely is. And Rokfin is a good platform where, a lot of people have been telling us you're one of the last few truth-telling leftists on YouTube. And I'm like, well, I don't know how much longer they're going to let us be in here. I mean, we're taking precautions. We're probably going to put some of our videos on a more, like Patreon mode, like a more private mode, because we want to be able to stay on air. But you can always find them on Rokfin for free. They're all there.
What up, Mike Fagan? Love you, brother. Love you. Kathy Looney throwing the $10 Super Ray in there. Super Ray! Thank you so much. He says, for the interview with the Trump guy and Kathy Looney, I was just telling Johnny, we're going to clip that up. We're going to put that out there separately. It's funny because that particular live stream, me and Johnny went to the Capitol, and we had a lot of people watching. We had 1,000 people watching at one time. The video itself, when it was done, shot up to 9,000 really quick, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Brakes on it. It barely got to 12,000. That's just unusual. It's kind of like the general election. Like, votes are coming in, then all of a sudden in the middle of the night they stop, and 138,000 votes come in for Joe Biden. Mathematical anomalies. Not saying it was rigged, but saying there's enough evidence to have an audit for that. Because you know what they keep doing? They keep denying us data. But I'm being a conspiracy theorist.
You are.
But I'm going to clip up that interview. Johnny says Johnny will drop it to me after because I try to do it on my goddamn laptop. It's not working later. And I will post that up. I'll post it up on Rokfin. I will post it up on YouTube personally after we have Chinese food tonight, fam. We're having Chinese food.
I don't like Chinese food.
Vegan Chinese food,
tofu,
teriyaki, fried rice, and vegan dumplings with, I'm going to make you a nice little soy vinaigrette because I know you like the sharpness. Okay,
all
14 watching on the Rokfin.
We have...
Whoa, you get over to YouTube and people are giving us money over here. 167 watching. Wow, guys, that is beautiful. We love you. Reeve Barker. I hope this $5 shapes what you talk about in the future. Do with it what you will. Guess what that means? You get to choose what you do with the money. Shocking. Thank you, Reed Barker. Keep up the good work. Regards from Sweden. We love you. Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for the Super Chat contribution. Nazar G. Here's a link to an archive of Andrea's racist tweets. Guess what, Nazar?
We're going to be talking about that as well.
Okay. You might see some of those links and stuff like that, but thank you for the Super Chat. We appreciate it. And we need all the Super Chats we can use, so thank you so much. It really helps us. You saw us on the ground in D.C. You guys really made that possible, and we can't thank you enough. All our Patreons, all the Super Chats, all the people on Rokfin giving us the Super Rays, and even just joining up, it really does help us out. We want to keep going to those spots and to those places. Next time, fam, hopefully we won't get jammed by the satellites. Or the jammers.
The jammers, yeah.
It's the jammers. It felt like, Spaceballs. About to be jammed. And we were jammed. We couldn't even do our jobs there on live stream. I remember at one point when stuff was going down, Johnny was like, that's it. He turns around. He pulls it out. We're going off the live stream. It's too sketchy. We're going to just film this and put this up later. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Wish we could have brought it to you live, but they weren't allowing a lot of people to do so.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what they do. Hide information. So let's talk about some stuff right away. Let's talk about some foreign policy, because we haven't talked about foreign policy in a long time, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since Bibi Netanyahu was one of the first to congratulate Joe Biden on winning the election, they also started ramping up their bombing of Syria.
Mm-hmm.
We thought there was going to be an exodus out of Syria. Donald Trump was always staying behind to keep the oil, I guess, because he feels that we're entitled to other countries' oil. I mean, it's one thing I couldn't stand about Donald Trump. He's like, they left Iraq. I told them they should have kept the oil. They gave it like it was ours to begin with.
Right.
This is the part of the foreign policy I do not appreciate of Donald Trump, and there's a lot of things like that. We haven't had a solid foreign policy president since friggin' maybe Eisenhower, and he had questions, fam.
Yeah, exactly. So what's going on?
Well, with the head of Joe Biden's inauguration, there seems to be a lot of buildup now back in Syria, including what we saw over here. The Ruskies are starting to send battleships, planes, more things over to more hardware, Russian hardware, over to the Syrian area in the Med and whatnot. We saw, I think it was a couple days ago, about a week ago, a Syrian girl put up, a couple people put up, Dick Medhurst talked about it. They were bombing Damascus.
Yeah,
Israel.
they were bombing Damascus, and they were doing this when all of this stuff was going down at the Capitol. So, of course, nobody was paying attention to Syria getting bombed because, number one, we never pay attention to the Middle East. Number two, everybody was distracted by the Capitol and talking about, oh, cool, an insurrection and blah, blah, blah. Well, this is what we do. This is what Israel does. And Israel is our ally, of course, and we fund and give them weapons. So, obviously, we are involved in this, and now the tensions are ramping up. Right as Joe Biden is going to come in his new administration and take over the presidency, we're seeing Russia send in ships, sending in hardware, like Pasta said, and the U.S. is also doing that. Why? Well, I spoke to Vanessa Vili a few weeks ago, and she was telling me that people are actually more afraid of a Joe Biden presidency in Syria than they were with a Donald Trump presidency, because they know that the Biden administration is going to have a more cryptic, targeted drone strike type of mentality where they're going to sanction more and do it on the DL. And of course, the mainstream media will not be talking about it. So therefore, they were able to build up some independent like survival mode of living in Syria. But now with the Joe Biden administration, you're going to see a pro-democracy stance on trying to remove certain people from Syria.
Once again, Donald Trump didn't pull the trigger completely in getting everybody out of Syria. He was trying at one point, at least, but he still said he was going to sit there, occupy the oil. It was definitely more aggressive. A Biden campaign is going to be more progressive when it comes to bombing and whatnot. Guys like Anthony Blinken, who were mad at Joe Biden because Joe Biden wasn't enthused enough about going into Syria or Libya or whatnot.
Joe Biden or Trump?
No, Joe Biden back in the day.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about when Blinken was was part of the Obama registration. He was mad at Joe Biden for not being enthused enough about going into Syria. And, but it's okay because Blinken does a commercial or does the Sesame Street with Grover and shows you that he's a nice person. So that's that. Dan Cohen, Israeli military, the AKA ISIS Air Force, launched a series of airstrikes on Syria, killing 57 anti-ISIS fighters, from the region. Israel and the U.S. are determined to continue murdering the fighters who defeated the ISIS caliphate. So once again, like we said, Bibi right away. He was one of the first to congratulate Joe Biden, and the attacks just started coming, fam. Here they are. And you want to also talk about some of the war criminals that he continues to, did I put this up there? Prop up, yeah.
So Biden actually nominated
there it is.
Samantha Power to lead the USAID. The USAID is basically the CIA. It is a CIA front spreading pro-democracy rhetoric. Now, before she was a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and this USAID stands for the United States Agency for the International Development. And the transition team also said that Biden actually plans to position her to become a member of the National Security Council in his administration. Now, she is known for being a very pro-war in Libya. She is known for actually having a lot to do with what happened in Libya and for her disastrous foreign policy. And I want to point out a couple of things here that she did before serving as ambassador to the UN. She served as former President Barack Obama's National Security Council as a senior director of multilateral affairs and human rights. And Max Blumenthal reminded us, because he wrote the book, The Management of Savagery. Mm-hmm. And he said, having destroyed Libya and helped bring slavery back to Africa, Samantha Power reaps her reward. A longtime CIA front, USAID, she'll weaponize right-wing fanatics to destabilize Venezuela, Hong Kong, Syria, anywhere the U.S. seeks regime change. This has nothing to do with aid. Again, and so when you put along what's going on in Syria right now with the Russians putting their military there and the US, you're going to see the pushback from Russia and their allies and us and our NATO-backed allies, because this has everything to do with it. And if you guys want to watch a couple of minutes of what they said, the Biden-Harris presidential transition team said, a leading voice for humane and principled American engagement in the world, she will rally the international community and work with our partners to confront the biggest challenges of our time. In other words, we're going to see a lot of sanctions, drone strikes, a lot of coups, fucking coups. And let's just hear a little bit of the rhetoric before I throw up.
Fam,
so
she's
we
rallying.
Can't hear all of it, because, yeah.
I've asked Ambassador Samantha Power to serve as the next administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development. There is simply no one better to ensure our development agenda is a core pillar of our foreign policy.
Our security is connected to the security of people who live elsewhere. Many of the issues that we in the United States are grappling with, the pandemic, economic crisis, climate consequences, threats to the rule of law, and even to democracy, these are issues that people all around the world are grappling with as well. The United States has a chance to partner with and support people who are on the front lines in battling COVID, who are trying to build climate resilience, who are standing up for the rule of law, standing up against inequality, and trying to create more just societies.
Sam is one of our country's most respected voices on humanitarian issues, and I have seen both her passion and her principles firsthand.
All right.
Okay.
That's enough.
That's enough.
I can't.
You guys get the point. I just also wanted to point out this tweet from Kevin Gostola from November, where he was going over the individuals in the Biden administration. I know we did some of those too, but he went through a very thorough unraveling of them. And he pointed out Samantha Power, who was a U.S. permanent representative to the UN under Obama. As we said, prior to that, she was a special assistant and senior director. Like we said, she is known for popularizing the, quote, responsibility to protect military doctrine. And if you go down, like we said in Max Blumenthal's book, The Management of Savagery, he described Power as a celebrity icon of military humanism. She weaponized human rights and perfected a method of masking imperial designs under the cloak of genocide prevention. Exactly. So under the cloak of humanitarian aid and pro-democracy, she masked coups and, of course, overthrowing of legitimate governments. Power was one of the most forceful voices in regime change in Syria. So you're going to see that come up as Biden takes the presidency. Jeffrey Goldberg for The Atlantic documented how Obama grew irritated with her lobbying quote, Samantha, enough, I've already read your book, end quote. And she also wrote A Problem from Hell, An Education of an Idealist. The first book was used to justify the war in Iraq. And as John Carl Baker noted in his review of Education of an Idealist, she opposed asking Congress for authorization of war in Syria as well. So she was one of the leading voices of having that power superseded. And then on Libya, which is one of the most important criticisms of hers, she contended that whatever our sincerity, we could hardly expect to have a crystal ball when it came to accurately predicting the outcomes in places where the culture was not our own. And of course, she obviously has a lot in common with these neocons like Pompeo. So when people are saying things like Joe Biden's picks aren't that bad, when you're saying things that Joe Biden's national security picks, I think Aaron Mate even said that, and you're saying things like it could be worse. Actually, not really, because with Trump, you get Trump as a president blatantly saying, oh, we're going to go after these people, we're going to take their oil. With Joe Biden, you get, we're spreading democracy and we're going to bring humanity to our allies and restore the prosperity of our nation. You get all this bullshit, but behind the scenes, it's a lot of death and destruction, and the mainstream media is not going to cover it.
No, and you know, they paint it as this beautiful way to kind of just further infringe upon these countries and just enact more war, you know, more occupation, more money for the military-industrial complex. And all of his picks are just awful. I mean, they really are neocon-minded, just warmongers. Anthony Blinken, Samantha Power, General Lloyd Austin, all these people, you know what I'm saying? General Lloyd Austin, you know, led in the whole campaign to sell bombs, give more bombs to Saudi Arabia, which killed so many Yemenis. I mean, he's on the board of friggin' Raytheon. And that's who's coming back. They're actually more of a warmonger, I think, than some of Donald Trump's cabinet positions and stuff. Not to say that they are good by any way, shape, or form, but like you said, fam, it's more cryptic. They put more roses around it and stuff, and therefore they can do more damage that way. I believe the enemy that you know and you understand their bullshit in front of you, you can identify and say, okay, I know that guy's not with me. We went on the same ideology, but the people like the Democrats who act like they're for the working person and they're for ending wars and they're, you know what I'm saying, they can do much more damage, especially when people don't follow policy.
They're duplicitous.
And big words.
And I just want to point out Glenn Greenwald, because he's been on point with a lot of these things really lately, and he's also been smeared as a right-winger. He said, this is a good choice in the sense that as the head of the USAID, an agency ostensibly devoted to assisting other countries, Samantha Power can work to repair the damage to all the countries she helped destroy the last time she was in government with her unhinged militarism. So I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, in describing who she is, fam. And like, Johnny, if you go back to the first article, I do want to point out these warships, this tweet that Russia's Syria campaign, the Russian Navy, BM, I think that's a Cigna project, Black Sea Fleet, Landing Ship Brigade, tap here, it's a NATO alligator. And then you can see that these are the ships that were en route to the Russian naval base in Tartus, and that's closer to Syria. So you see that these ships, this is what they're arming themselves, and they're getting ready for a very, very obvious move to destabilize Syria even further, like we've been doing for the last few years. Something to watch. And of course, I know we're going to have a lot of our progressive friends really beyond that. So.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, by the way, 440 people watching on YouTube. Sailboats. I love the sailboats. Those are what they call four in poker, fam. That girl is hanging out. I think that's a great Red Dragon cast. Thank you so much, that girl. Red Dragon cast. What he said, hey, Fee, we argued and blocked each other on my old account, but now I can see you speak the truth so much, so thank you. Nuance, comrade, LL Layet.
Okay. Awesome.
Somebody who wants
move forward and unblock each other.
That's great. That's great. I mean, you know, I'm glad to see that when it happens. We have a few tips over here on the Super Ray really quickly. Just want to get to them. You know what really stinks about the freaking Rokfin thing? It moves. Giancarlo Venezuela Segura tipped us a couple of bucks. Thank you so much, BZ.
Valenzuela.
Uh-huh. Thank you so much, fam. You got to correct me on these things. We're having Chinese food tonight. Did I mention that? BZ and BD both left Super Rays. Thank you so much. We got 21 watching. We need more of you over there. We need at least 30 right now. Maybe get to 40. Let's get into it, fam. All these things we're talking about, what's happening right now, we should label them as the great distraction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's a distraction for what's going on overseas when they have all this stuff on the Capitol Hill and all this stuff that's taking place in the courts right now. So now, right out of the gate, when all this shit happened, everybody started screaming, this is a white supremacist. This is a fascist takeover. This was a coup. And the House is going to start, today, was on the floor for impeachment, and it went through. But earlier, yesterday, I believe it was, Pence said he will not play any games. He's already dismissed the idea of the 25th Amendment because you would need the vice president in that. So that was shot down. Also, McConnell says no way he's going to call an emergency session, right, to impeach Donald Trump, despite pulling away from Trump. He says, I'm not going to do it because they're not in session till the 19th, the day before the inauguration. So he said no way. So the impeachment House on the floor is moot, right? Trump is going to be gone in 1 week, so why go through the proceedings? Well, let's get some expert advice from AOC on why we have the proceedings, regardless of the fact that it won't go into the Senate and the 25th Amendment won't be invoked. So why do it? Here's what she says.
She self-owns, fam. She literally...
Let's get it up, fam.
Johnny, I'll just read from there. A few reasons. Sometimes it's to get members on the record so people can make excuses later. Sometimes these votes create real political pressure that forces developments. Sometimes we vote for the historical record to let future generations know we did everything we could.
Fam?
This is AOC's fucking self-own because she literally lies. She literally gaslighted progressives, calling Jimmy Dore, calling a bunch of us violent for pretty much holding her accountable to what she was there to do, which is oppose Nancy Pelosi, oppose the Democratic establishment, not play games on Twitter with Republicans and go that route. We voted her there to actually oppose the elite and the establishment, and she didn't do that. And so when people held her accountable, she went back and cried violence. And she actually said that it was symbolic, that it was a moot point because it wouldn't pass, and so it would have hurt us in the long run, using the same reasons that we wanted her to do this for. By the way, DSA pushed this whole thing to begin with, but when Dore took it, they were completely against it, by the way, just saying. And so when she actually uses the same reasoning of this to say yes for impeachment and uses the same reasoning to say that she used force of vote to denounce it, you can see that hypocrisy is showing. You can see that she's a fraud, like we've been saying. And let's go over to see actually what some of us said, because it's really disgusting. I mean, it's like she's trolling her supporters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Start with Jimmy? Okay, we'll start with Jimmy first. All right. Jimmy, the ha 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 ha. That was my Jimmy Dore imitation.
I mean, that's all you gotta say. Like, this is the comedy writes itself, folks. Jimmy doesn't even need to write the comedy. AOC's doing it for him. And Dick.
Listen to what Dick says. This is a strong Dick here.
You read Dick.
For weeks, AOC and the boutique left dismissed the very same arguments she lists below and refused to #force the vote on healthcare, calling it performative. Now, finally, she sees the light when it comes to impeachment. This is why people call you #the fraud squad. Great trolling.
Exactly. And again, I'll
let you read your tweet.
Well, I had to say this too, like, AOC was talking about, quote, symbolic votes, like how it doesn't matter. And when it's Medicare for all / force the vote, and 15 million people, by the way, this was current, 15 million people lost their insurance during COVID because of they lost their jobs, etc. And 85 million plus are uninsured or uninsured. And this is AOC on the left about that versus AOC when it's impeachment for a guy leaving office in 1 week, you guys. Remember, let's just pull back her old tweet. She said, some people say a co-sponsor list isn't genuine and forcing a vote, even if it fails, will add clarity by putting people on the record, even though a co-sponsor list is on the record.
Why we don't have the co-sponsor list this time, AOC?
Problem is with a GOP Senate, people can still disingenuously vote because they know it's going to a graveyard. Okay. And then, of course, like we said, then she literally talks about, okay, it's meant to get members on record so people can't make excuses later. These votes create political pressure. That's exactly what we fucking wanted. We wanted political pressure. Nobody was saying that it was going to automatically get us Medicare for all. Nobody is that naive to think that at least the people forcing the vote. It was to get you to oppose Nancy Pelosi, to show that there is power with the people behind you, and to get you to do that. It's to really show that there's a push for that and that they have to do it at some point. That's what it was for. It wasn't to necessarily even get it, but you denounced that symbolism. You literally mocked it, and now you're over here crying about impeachment for a guy who's leaving office in a week. Like, this is disgusting. This level of gaslighting. She is a fucking fraud, and she needs to, like, I don't think voting her out is necessarily where our focus should be, but just know that AOC is a careerist. Just know that AOC is here for herself. Just know that they all abandon any sort of even jargon. Their jargon has shifted from Medicare for all or single payer to access to healthcare. You can look at her tweets. You can look at Bernie's tweets. You can look at what they've been saying to the press. That is what they're doing. And they keep going on mainstream media too. Like, there's no tie to the grassroots. If you look at AOC and who she's responding to and who she's talking to, she's completely dismissed her entire base that actually fucking led to her electing her.
They've completely abandoned the grassroots. I mean, once again, remember when Bernie Sanders was first running in 2016? The mainstream media is awful. Are you covering the things you need to? No, we have to push you. People are tired of establishment public politics and the mainstream media. Now he just goes on mainstream media right away. There are no ties to the grassroots. Maybe he'll go on Joe Rogan again when he wants to kind of, try to go talk to independents or somebody other than his own base. But right now, I mean, his base has become these neo-progressives. I mean, he's become more establishment with AOC. It's just ridiculous. But the people are seeing it. I got to holler out to my girl Hala over here. Hala,
He's
what's
awesome.
up? Hollering at you. The start of this thread seems like a PR stunt.
Yep.
Then someone asked a real question, and AOC exposed her hypocrisy again. # forced to vote.
Right.
Fam, I'm glad people are seeing this. Eileen Tepper, another friend of the fam, friend of the show. We love you, Eileen. But you pick and choose when it is true to suit your narrative. How disingenuous can you be? # forced to vote. # Medicare for all. No excuses in the middle of a pandemic, fam.
How does this help the working class?
Yeah.
How does this help anybody? Impeachment. Okay, you get the pleasure of seeing the guy you have vilified and made this whole boogeyman, the orange man, bad, who literally wouldn't even be in power if we had an actual opposition to the Republican Party. But we don't, because fucking elitists and dumbasses in the Democratic Party can't get their shit together, and progressives are too, like, weak and hairless to actually push them to do anything. Like, they spent months and months and months talking about violence and talking about Jimmy Dore's curse words, talking about all this shit. And now AOC gets to talk about violence on this insurrection and how she feared for her life. Oh my God. Yes. Like, people were saying, like, I was wanting her to get her. No, guys, I just don't buy her act. And a lot of people aren't buying her act. Like, let's be real here. She's a freaking actress, and we're going to go into that in a minute.
Well, yeah, get this going over here, fam. Keep it going. This is a fee rant right here. Danny Haifong, been on the show before. What's up, D? Both Dems and Repubs militarized police and passed laws like Blue Lives Matter bill of 2018 to make police a protected class, and AOC is protesting for Republicans to care more about police and law and order.
Right.
Question mark.
Exactly.
Stunning.
These people have turned into FBI informants. I have seen it in Twitter. They have turned into pro-police because they want to own the right. They have turned into that thing which they were fighting. Let's listen to what AOC was ranting about, and so eloquently.
Cowards. Couldn't even stand up in the memory of these officers that they pretend to care about. I don't want to hear or see the Republican Party talk about blue lives ever again. This was never about safety for them. It was always a slogan. Because if they actually cared about rule of law, they would speak up when people break the law. They would speak up. They would enforce fairness and equity, but they don't give a damn about the law. They don't give a damn about order. They don't give a damn about safety. Cowards.
Right. So her rant is much longer and much more actually unhinged. I agree that the Republicans have been hypocritical when it comes to law and order, when it comes to these things. And I think a lot of the Trump supporters quickly realized that when we were there, when the police were tear gassing them and they saw, oh, holy shit, the police are shooting at us. Oh, yeah. Well, they said,
but
fuck
Trump
them
has been
too.
consistent about it still, right?
Of course, Trump has been talking about law and order and all that crap. But using this is cowardly. Using this to push your political narrative and your political agenda is absolutely cowardly, because you know very damn well that this isn't as simple as an entire group of 75 million people being just angry and just wanting to overthrow the government. That's not what happened here, AOC. You know that this is about people being gaslit. You know this is about people being angry because the government hasn't helped them in any way. We wouldn't have seen the massive movement of protests on the Democratic side or on the right side if people were happy with the way the government has handled things. We just wouldn't see it. You're looking at it on the surface level of these people just, oh, this is an insurrection, this is a coup, instead of looking at what you very damn well know was a document wanting to literally remove Republican Congress people who question the integrity of our elections, which is their goddamn right to question that election. It's their fucking right to do that, whether you agree with it or not. It's anybody's right. My right, your right, especially if you're a congressional elected member who represents constituents. That's what you're supposed to do. So when you have those documents prepped, when you had impeachment prepped from the set, you guys were trying to impeach Donald Trump in the weeks leading to this. So don't make it about, oh, this is now we have war on terror, domestic white supremacists. Yes, we have a portion of our country that is racist, but the vast majority of Americans are not. And to paint it as that's that vast majority and such a major issue, sure, we can tackle it in a different way, but to exaggerate and do all of this theatrics to say that, oh, the right wingers are trying to overthrow our government. Fuck, we overthrow people all over the world. What are you talking about? Since when did you care about coups? You said you delegated to the party leadership.
The caucus leadership.
Exactly. Yep. She deferred to the caucus leadership when it came to Venezuela. Yeah. She took pictures of Bolivian actual fascists. Like, let's not mix our words here. She follows Juan Guaido. I mean, this is hypocrisy.
Yeah, and it is very much a hypocrisy, fan, because even the people right now is saying, well, those people, Donald Trump was kind of persuading people on lies. I'm like, wait, you think that's a lie? These people have every right to protest the elections if they think that's unfair and stuff like that. Donald Trump has every reason and every right to go through the political process.
As much as you don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, and to just look at them and say, well, these people over here, these Trump people, weren't justified. Black Lives Matter is justified. We might think that they are more justified in the Black Lives Matter
because
side.
I believe in their cause.
But you have to be, you have to say, listen, both sides have a right. We should be understanding why these people are angry. And I'm sorry, that excuse just isn't cut it for me. You're saying, well, what Donald Trump was doing was misleading people on a lie. No, that's bullshit. You don't know for a fact that these elections are safe. They're not transparent. I don't want to get into this whole situation, but I'm saying if we start labeling one side a domestic terrorist and the other one, no, they're going to use it.
They're going to use it against the same. Anyways, Black Lives Matter. They're already shutting down leftist groups. They're already shutting down progressive groups, like we said the other day. They're going to start going after any kind of fucking dissent. Do you not see that that's the point? Yes. And I think AOC knows exactly what she's doing. I think she is a part of it, and that she's using the words violence, the same words of violence she used on YouTubers and Jimmy Dore, saying that they're pushing violence. She's using those same words to say these are insurrectionists and violence and they need to be shot down. Well, now that's what's going to happen. In your efforts to pursue these insurrectionists, you're going to actually attack the left. And they know this. Any sort of dissenting voice, they know this is the next step.
They do. You know what I'm saying? Fam, who said this? You fool me once, shame on you. You fool me twice, you ain't gonna fool me again.
Isn't that Benjamin Franklin?
No, that was George. No, it was George Bush. George Bush goes, "You fool me once, shame on you. You fool me twice."
Yeah, but he got it from somebody else.
But he forgot the quote, and he goes, "Okay." Instead of shame on me, he goes, "You can't fool me again, right?"
You were making fun of
George Bush.
Yeah, well, he's not
Whitney
very
Webb
smart.
Says it sounds like AOC borrowed that powerful monologue from George Bush. This is a different monologue where he says, "When you're not with us, you're with terrorists." So that's what Whitney Webb said. You can put that up, Johnny, with Emma Gray over there. Either you people are with me or you're with that mob. Either you're with us or you're with the terrorist.
She does sound like George W. Bush, because we have to look back to where we were at post 9/11 when everybody was as unhinged as they are now, except we had a Republican president and we were trying to foment a war, consent for war, manufacture consent for war. So what we did was say, ooh, these terrorists, these are dangerous. We got to go. We got to save America. Ooh, America. Yeah, patriot. And we were labeling every Middle Eastern person as a terrorist. Yeah. And to get people to say, yes, let's go to war. Let's get rid of these terrorists.
Either with us or the terrorists.
Exactly. Now it's like, instead of it being foreign terrorism, it is domestic terrorism. Ooh, look at these people, these fascists. Go become an FBI informant. Become an authoritarian. cheer for censorship. Oh, yes, we have to destroy these terrorists. They're undermining our democracy. That is the same exact thing. It's the same playbook. You have to fucking know that it's being used against us again. And that's why we recognize that, although I was a child when this was happening, I still remember how young kids that I went to school with were treated when it was that time where everybody that was brown was labeled as a terrorist. And to see this happening now, everybody that has dissent against the current government as a whole is now labeled as a white supremacist, Nazi, whatever. And you're going to be labeled as a terrorist when you dissent anything, whether it's from the left or right. And it's a very dangerous moment we're in. Yeah. And I don't think people realize where we're headed.
Yeah, and this, I've said this before. They're trying to cause a civil war over here. This is really, really bad. I hate the language and stuff like that. And if you say that any Trumper is going to be a domestic terrorist, that they're nationalists, Nazis, whatnot, you're causing really a very serious situation that can get out of control. We shouldn't use that language. But I really want to talk about this whole Ryan Grimm trying to use this football analogy. He jumped on Secular Talk's tweet over here. There are some main points in favor of forced the vote on Medicare for all during the pandemic, and he listed AOC's tweets. But look what Ryan Grimm puts down below. It's a tactic. Sometimes it's smart, sometimes it's not.
Oh,
it depends
God.
on the circumstances. If it's third down and you need 1 yard, running might be a smart call. If it's third down and 30, running is not a smart call. It's sadly not 3rd and 1 for Medicare for all. So Justin Jackson jumps on in. He's been just amazing through this whole time.
I know.
It's not 3rd and 30 either. It's 3rd and 30 when Bernie started running and hardly anyone supported the policy. It's actually 4th and 1 on the goal line, down 14 in the fourth quarter, and they're kicking a field goal. How about go for it and get us closer to taking the lead? They're worried if they go for it, not only are they certain they won't make it, but might be tackled in the backfield and turn over on downs, leaving their movement worse off than it was to begin with. And Justin Jackson goes, I'm sorry, this is a horrible analogy and the type of thinking that gets coaches fired. You have to take risk, especially when the situation is advantageous. You're arguing for the field goal. The safe play actually increases your chances of losing the game, not vice versa. I'm not going to go.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing for either play. But once again, Ryan Grimm got his ass tackled by an NFL player right there. I thought that was great.
Yeah, why would you dare do a football analogy with a football player? Are you dumb?
Well,
are you daft?
The football player jumped in.
I know,
he continued to do it. I would have stopped right
Exactly. First of all, number one. Number two, he's absolutely right. Like, it actually, when power concedes nothing without demand.
Exactly.
When you're demanding scraps, right, you're going to get scraps or less. If you go big, and they show that you're serious about it, then that's you're gonna get more, or you're gonna put fear into these politicians, which is what they should be feeling, fear. And going even back to the whole, oh my God, this is terrorism, blah blah blah. Since when did these progressives all of a sudden care about saving the Capitol and Congress, all of a sudden care about these politicians who have done absolutely nothing for them and literally spit on their faces and turn their backs on them? Since when did they care so much about security and safety? Come on, since when did you become the police? Since when did you become the thought police, the FBI, the CIA? You are agreeing with these 3-letter institutions for the sake of owning some of these Republicans. I'm not saying that none of them are white supremacists. Of course there are white supremacists. But to actually make blanket assertions, it is the same as the neo-McCarthyism of the 1950s where everybody was a Russian communist. Do you not see that we constantly get these attacks thrown at people to divide and conquer and get you to not focus on the common enemy? They want a civil war. They're prep for a civil war. They absolutely want a civil war because we end up losing in the process.
And one of those persons, I think, who's going to facilitate more of a civil war, and if she doesn't kind of change her rhetoric, and should have used this moment to really get something for racial justice, okay? This is Cori Bush, and I'm going to go into my analogy right now. I don't want to slam her, but this was an opportunity, fam, to really make a statement and get somebody released that has been unjustifiably jailed for a long, long time from her home state. You know what I'm saying? From something that happened in her home state.
In Missouri.
Yeah. Here's Cori Bush on the floor.
If we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, it's communities like Missouri's 1st District that suffer the most. The 117th Congress must understand that we have a mandate to legislate in defense of Black lives. The first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist in chief. Thank you, and I yield back.
Okay, fam, instead of using this time right here, this 30 seconds that she had to speak to fight for real racial justice by saying the name of the protester who was still jailed for the Ferguson protest, she instead elected to go after a president who's been gone and make a statement in 1 week. And I'm not saying that her statement isn't even important, but why wouldn't you go after and try to say his name, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Williams. Say his name. This guy is still in jail from the Ferguson riots, was sentenced to 8 years for stealing a bag of chips and setting a garbage pail on fire, fam. 8 years. And I've heard so many people say if it was 200,000 black people there, they would have been treated just so unjustly.
Of course.
Maybe, and definitely you could say that, but let me tell you this for sure. We know damn well that they've been unjustly, people of color have been unjustly jailed in the Missouri protest, and that is also true. Look at this, 8 years. You take advantage of this situation, and you say, you know what? The way you're treating these people here that broke into the Capitol, giving them a slap on the wrist. Well, we have a guy by the name of Josh Williams who's still in jail for the Ferguson protest. Let him free. Commute his sentence now. And the same shit goes for what happens in the BS in Colorado when we go there now for that situation when they had protests for Elijah McClain, which I thought was the worst, most unjust killing, period. I mean, what they did. The guy says, I don't even kill flies. You know, a poor autistic boy, and you kill him, you shoot him up with ketamine. I don't even know how that's legal. Well, now some protesters that threw some events for him. We went to Colorado. They're facing up to 60 years in prison.
Where is the outrage for that?
Where's that?
What does impeachment do for the black community? Really? What? How? I mean, it's symbolism at best. And you could yield so much power if you were talking about what is happening in your local constituency, in your local, your elected congressional district. Like, there are so many things that could be used, that could be done, like healthcare, like a bigger stimulus, like everything else. Impeachment is a distraction. It is nothing but a distraction, and it does absolutely nothing for working people. And working people across the board of all ethnicities see it for what it is. And that's the reality. Impeachment is mere symbolism to try to get a political narrative, and it just seems like Cori Bush said she's going to go in there and fight for her district, but really, does the average American that has lost their job, lost their business, that has family members in jail, that has family members dead from COVID or from lack of having a just healthcare system, really give a shit about impeaching Donald Trump?
He's got in a week.
Really? He's got in a week. What do you? This is just another fucking excuse to make you forget that they gave you $600 of a tax deductible of bullshit, and that they haven't done anything for you, even during a pandemic. They got 2 floor votes for fucking impeachment and 0 floor votes for Medicare for all in a fucking pandemic. That is a reminder. That's what they want you to forget. Don't let them fucking forget that.
Yes.
Don't
and you
let
have
them
all
forget
these
that.
Trumpers right now who are going to be sympathetic to the situation, going, look, these guys who went into the Capitol, whatnot, they're going to get sentenced, whatever. And then you can say, well, listen, look what's going on over here. I bet you'd see a lot if she had gone that route and said, we need to commute Josh Williams' sentence.
Yeah, if these people are going to get a slap on the wrist for doing what they did, let's commute these sentences. You could even say that, because it's likely that some of these people are going to get a slap on the wrist.
Yes.
Or either that, or they're going to get all of the pressure because of the political narrative, but not because they would normally do it.
And a lot of, like I said, a lot of Trumpers would have said, oh man, that is kind of messed up that they put this kid in jail for 8 years and now they're letting these kids off like for a very large time. It's right happening in their faces. Like, you see what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen? This is real racial injustice in the judicial system, okay? Let this kid go. Say his name, Josh Williams. Say his name. Donald Trump's leaving in a week, man. This kid's sitting there and rotting for stealing a bag of potato chips and lighting a garbage can on fire.
It's disgusting.
God damn, learn how to play politics.
No, they don't. They're playing career
Jesus
politics right
Christmas. You ruined that.
voted
You
for
ruined that
Pelosi.
opportunity, Cori Bush.
She voted for fucking Pelosi on the first round.
And this kid is sitting in jail.
Yeah.
David, thank you for the super chat contribution. That is awesome. We have over 750 people on the YouTubes. We need more over on the Rokfin. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Patricia Sveik. How do you say that name? SCWIEK. Patricia
That's Eastern
Sveik.
European. Thank you,
See,
Patricia.
Thank you so much. North American Ape. Ryan Grimm really tried to hit us with the okey doke. The okey dokey is what it's called. Rope-a-dopey. How the is he still a tactical disagreement when she's using the same exact tactics for impeachment? These same exact ones. I must have a goofball written on my forehead. Goofball.
Yeah. He's a goofball. He's a goon, Ryan Grimm, for that ill-fated attempt. It's gross, fam. It's gross. AOC self-owned. We're using her own words against her once again.
Yes.
There's literally absolutely nothing you can say. We are using her own words against her. She cannot get out of this.
No.
She is obviously exposing herself. The great unraveling continues, ladies and gentlemen. The great unraveling of these politicians. And I'm not saying, that she's the equivalent of Mitch McConnell, but what I am saying is she is priming herself up to be an Obama-esque type of figure, like I said months ago, that this is where she's going, and she is there to sheep herd people back into the Democratic Party, to rebrand progressives, the movement, as an extension of the Democratic Party. I was just on a show, we were talking about that, and I will share the link to that because it was a great conversation. But there's definitely a fracturing between the true left, like the true anti-imperialist, anti-authoritarian, anti-regime change, talking about our civil liberties and foreign policy, and of course Medicare for all, single payer, and trying to push direct action, versus the let's reform the Democratic Party and hope our electeds and pull their feet to the fire, even though we've done that time and time again and it hasn't worked. That divide of the very authoritarian echo chamber left, if you don't agree with us, you must be a racist fascist. That is a divide.
So stupid.
That it's not going to mend.
Stupid. Real Politics, thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch, fam. I haven't done it in a while. Basically, it's only okay if AOC does it.
Right. 100%. So
there are over 765 people. I think I've gotten all the super chats there. If I miss one, Johnny, let me know. What?
Real quick. I know you went over it real fast, but I just want to reiterate this point that for the Elijah McClain thing in Denver, which we went and reported on, the protest there.
Yep.
The only people who are getting charged over his killing are the community activists from PSL, from the Party of Socialism and Liberation.
Met some of them.
Who organized the mass peaceful demonstrations. They're now facing up to 60 years in prison. Because they were calling it, what were they calling it? They were calling it like treason or something. Or it's like,
yeah, it was what's his name?
There are literally political prisoners in the United States, in Denver, Colorado, right now.
John,
Party of Socialism and Liberation. We met these people. We went there.
Those police officers like AOC feared for their lives.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking
feared
about?
For my life.
This is ridiculous.
So that's a
ladies
mini
and gentlemen.
example of what's about to happen federally. You know what I'm saying?
What an opportunity. You're
all falling for this.
That's the whole thing. You know what it is? It's like they're using it to say, well, see, now we have to start punishing people just as hard as we punish. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't punish those people in Ferguson that hard. If it's protest, you let them out. You know what I'm saying? You let them out and say, okay, you get your fine, whatever the case may be, in any situation. And both sides are just ignoring why each other's sides are upset. When you say that Black Lives Matter has no need to march, that racial tensions have been actually getting better, but it's not the sentence. The crime doesn't equate to the time.
The punishment does not fit the crime.
It doesn't. Look at that. I mean, and this was a perfect opportunity for Cori Bush to say enough is enough. Free this kid. Okay, you're giving all these people on the Capitol Hill, you're giving them slaps on the wrist, no-fly zones, they get arrested, they get a fine, whatever. Do the same for a man who protested in Ferguson, whose only crime is being part of the protest and eating a bag of chips and lighting a garbage can on fire.
And there's many people like that right now. Many people like that who protested, who are in jail for literally protesting. Do you think that propping up authoritarianism and crackdowns on a few right-wingers that you deem white supremacists isn't going to slide over to the left? It already fucking is. You're giving them more ammunition to punish people that are anti-oligarchy, that are dissenting in a system that's failing them. They know that's why they're doing this, because they know there's unrest. They know that people are up to their wits' end. They know that people are unhappy, and this is why they're protecting themselves.
Capitalism is failing.
Capitalism is failing. This is late stage capitalism, you guys. I'm so sorry. You can call it whatever it is, but this is like the chickens coming home to roost of years and years and years of neoliberal policies, of policies that have become a corporatocracy. And we can talk about censorship and how people keep saying, oh, well, Twitter is a private company. It's not just a private fucking company. It's a corporation that influences our very elected democratic leaders who donate so much money to. You can't ignore that. You can't ignore the fact that they did this.
Yeah.
Like, we're a corporate-run country. How are you going to say who influences what at this point when this corporation has more power than the president of the United States? Then what the fuck do you think they can do to you? This is the marriage of big tech and the surveillance state with our government becoming so clear, but they're distracting you with saying, oh, look at this white supremacist terrorist over there. Like, that's what they're doing.
Mom says easy with the cursing. Great point. Hunter Carranza, thank you so much for getting over there in that Super Ray. We appreciate that. The Rokfin, guys, we got 34 people. Let's get to 50. Like I said, we have 84 active subscribers. We need to get that up. Ladies, gentlemen, this is not just about going to another platform because we think it's cool. This is about the suppression that we face. As you know, we're not even talking a lot about the election rigging and election integrity or any of that stuff right now because we don't want to be like Steve Bannon, the platform for talking about election rigging, or Tracy Beans, whatnot. Now, I really understand and realize that they're a lot more further on the right than us, but we talk about civil liberties, we talk about election integrity, so we need to have platforms like Rokfin that really help us out. So please go over that. I'd love to get up to 50. Patrick S. also left a Super A, and Mohammed Afzal. Thank you so much. It's great to see you over here, Mohammed. We love you on the Super Rays. Tony watches closely. 25 watching now. Much love from Convo. We love our Tony watches closely. Oh, here comes Glory Jones. Just coming on in. You guys talk some sports? No cap. Aye, pasta. Don't let these fools try to come at the fam. I'll go over there with my sickle and my Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah, it's true. They're all coming.
All right, and that was all the people. Get on over there. We have 34 watching on Rokfin. We want to get more people on there. Oh, my God. We just had a bunch of super chats just hit over here, fam. I'm so sorry. The 776 watching. Let me get through these real quick, and we'll get on to the next subject. Just real quick. Chris Wood. Okay, so, all right. Guys, where you been? Let's get up 900 over there.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. We love you. Justin B., thank you, fam. Always glad to support. Justin B., you've always been so kind to us. Thank you very much for helping us out. This really helps get us to D.C. and those places you want us to go. We wear our mask. We do what we got to do. Yay! Here comes the Patriot Act 3. Yep. And the Republicans get to play the victim for the police state. They brought on everyone. And Democrats are 100% fine with that. That's why Fee put that tweet in there from AOC. All of a sudden, now it's like, my cousin, fam, the Italian Stallion. Thank you for the super chat contribution. Always appreciate on the couch, paisano. Was it always this bad? I feel like politicians used to pretend to hide their corruption and giving you something. Now they no longer hide it, fam. They just do it in your face. They don't care.
And people still want to believe something else.
Well, they're so consumed with everything else, and they don't look into the nuances of everything. I mean, not just being scared from the pandemic and alone. What's going to happen in the future, but everybody's always been so consumed with work and 2 or 3 jobs. So when they get home, it's give me a beer, let me watch a half hour of what do you call this stuff that Donald Trump used to do, reality TV, and let me go to bed, wake up, and do the same thing over again. Yeah. I mean, people are still working hard in this country and not getting compensated for it. Like I've always said, the labor issue is really a serious thing over here. The class issue is a very serious thing. They'll never talk about that. They'll never talk about unity. You know why? Because then they'll have to solve those problems like class, and that's a lot harder than really do that. And their donors don't want them to do that. So let's not forget about that. Ona kakaraka ono.
Pasta, just don't even say
Kekala. Ona kakala ono. Stop. I'm trying over here. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Ono. We love you. Seth Peterson, thanks, Convo Couch, for your consistent commitment to the truth and exposing these terrible people. You're a voice of reason and you are very much appreciated during these insane times. They are insane times. And democracy with the W. Democracy. W is here. Okay. We love you. I want to make sure I didn't miss them. Okay, we got them all, right?
Yeah.
We got them all. We got that many. Let's get to the next subject. Fam, you're going to... This is so funny.
Okay, so...
I'm going to start laughing with this crap. I'm going to start laughing with this crap.
First of all, I want to say that we don't really do this kind of shit because it gives them more attention. But I have to address this because of the hypocrisy of it. So Nomiki Konst, we know she is a NATO-backed, pro-Biden. I didn't even put it in there, but she had some tweets from 2015 where she was supporting Biden. She wrote an article about why Biden should be the next president and all of these things. And... So Nomiki Konst actually uplifted an actual white supremacist while attacking the anti-imperialist left. Like this white supremacist continuously, all her tweets and all her videos are about myself, Niko, or any other anti-imperialist leftist, whether it's Comrade Bisty, Assange folks. They label them as right-wingers. Talks about how we're all Nazis and white supremacist sympathizers. With, getting that accusation, it's just hilarious, Johnny, and I know you have an opinion on this, but Niko and I talked about it, how a lot of these attacks are coming from people who are directed at people like Niko, myself. Brianna Joy Gray's been getting it too by a lot of them, and even Justin Jackson. All these people, I mean, there's a commonality there. We're not white, and yet they're dismissing that and using this identity politics in reverse, because they're completely trying to say, oh, you're not Latina, or you're not this, or you're not that, and they're using that to say I'm siding with fascists for simply not wanting people to get killed on either end, like for not being okay with state-sanctioned police killings, for saying that not everybody is a Trump supporter, or who's a Trump supporter is a fascist, for saying things like, hey, this isn't what happened at the Capitol, I was there. Oh, no, you're being a white supremacist. So this is the thing. Nomiki Konst did a video with Francesca Fiorentini that she got from this woman. She's her at is Pogs for Bernie, and she did all these videos on how there's a brown versus red coming in. So she's saying that a lot of us leftists are aligning with the white supremacists, and we're creating this sort of fascist takeover, and we're GOP undercover agents and blah blah blah, all this crap that's actual conspiracy. And she's told Niko, the Niko House crew reminds me really heavily of Kiwi Farms and 4chan in their typing style, word choice, and sources of information. Not good, bizarre stuff. We'll probably block them after a bit more mockery. So this person is an actual grifter. She has admitted so much to some people. And Niko said, does someone want to explain this to me? Or I don't know who said that actually, but and then she said 4chan shit posts from 7 years ago, dumb shit, very, very gross stuff. So she had some 4chan posts, and we're going to go over them. These are her old tweets, 4chan posts, whatever it is. I think it was 4chan mostly, and then a couple of other things.
So
and
she's posted on 4chan and accusing people of being 4chaners?
Right. So her name was Saibi Domian herself. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, that. Cyber Demon 531.
These are tweets right here that we're seeing.
You can't summon those with a Ouija board, fam. Cyber demons are just
no. Yeah, that's not my specialty.
I gotcha.
My specialty is talking to friendly ghosts.
Gotcha.
So that's a time for another discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so she said, reminder to GTFO and go back to the forest, your dirty apes. #Ferguson decision, #debate me. And this is not that long ago, November of 2014. What's wrong with black women? Most of them, I can't even read this.
Yeah,
you guys can. I don't even want to read this.
I'm not
okay with this. And all of those, you guys can see these, right? I'm not even going to read it. I'm not going to read it. She's actually Jewish, I believe. So maybe that was a self kind of, own. And Johnny put her Reddit, and he confirmed that it's her. Of course, we can confirm with a screenshot as well. But this is her. That was the Reddit.
So
and
Nomiki
you can see
sharing these
Nomiki has had her on her show multiple times.
Nomiki.
And propped her up, saying she's right. We saw the video with Francesca Fiorentini where they were saying, oh, see, yeah, this is right. They're fascists. They're really not leftists at all. They're aligning themselves with Trumpers. So this is what Nomiki Konst is doing. And she's constantly tearing people apart on the actual left, right? She's been exposed countless times for being who she is. And there are some more of these tweets of this woman who Nomiki has propped up.
So this is a Reddit thread.
This is a Reddit thread.
People were asking her to answer questions about, because she was saying it was just making edgy jokes with her friends.
She's a comedian. Got it.
So here it says, but when other people see that and they aren't in on the joke and they call you a racist, they aren't SJWs, they are just normal people.
Oh.
The average person doesn't see your overtly racist jokes as something funny. I like to see you go up to an actual black person and call them that word and see how fast you get beat up.
Yeah, that's not a joke.
She said, I wasn't banned from any website over calling black people that word, so this is irrelevant. I never said you were. You said that on Twitter, and it was a racist remark. It's something a 15-year-old would say. Do you realize the tweet in question was 3 years ago, right? So she's just saying it was 3 years ago. And
3 years ago isn't a long time.
And it's a joke because it's a joke, and jokes are always a free pass. And
right.
she's this person said you seem to still be defending it. Not a joke, just an unfunny attempt at being edgy. That's not for you to decide. And someone says, she said, if someone said if you jokingly tell someone that they're worthless and should kill themselves, and they do, then it's fine, right? Because it was a joke. And she says everything's contextual and depends on the situation, location, time. She just keeps defending it. Yeah. And
way to prop up somebody like this, Nomiki.
And it's ironic too, because these are the people, like, seriously, like, and then she goes on and on and MWF some N on org calls me a racist. I mean, this is just, it's disgusting. And, you know, we've seen some of these already. And I just want to say
Cyber Demon 531, that's her @
yeah,
which is the same as the Reddit one.
Yeah. And
now she's Pogs for Bernie.
Yeah, exactly.
On
now
Twitter,
she's Pogs on Twitter. She's Pogs for Bernie. And what she uses a lot is saying, "Oh, I'm trans, and they're attacking me because I'm trans." Nobody's attacking you because you're trans. They're just using your own words against you. Because
like
all of her tweets
trans people can't be racist, right?
Right.
No,
exactly.
they can't.
Yeah.
They can't.
It's ridiculous.
Sorry, guys.
At this point.
We're gonna
like,
cut that segment, roll it back. We didn't realize that. Yeah, fam, we just can't.
It's just like ridiculous because this person who I haven't given any attention to, I know she made a video.
She's made multiple videos
of ourselves. Yeah.
This is the last one we'll be making about you.
Yeah.
This is the first
and the last.
Your name will not be uttered out of our mouths ever again. You know what I'm saying?
Because we know you want attention, and we don't want to give it to you. But this, we had to point this out because here's a person that's actually peddling racism, gaslighting, and calling us racist when I would never, ever in my life use words like that, ever. My mother taught me better, and it's disgusting to see, and it's disgusting to see the gaslighting from these people where did they come from? Out of nowhere, they're over here talking about how we're not real leftists. I'm sorry, that's not the case. We have done so much work. They also say that we don't do anything, that we've never been on the ground, that she's an organizer. Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
No, fam.
You have no idea.
You're not Italian.
Go look at my Facebook and blah, 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 and all this other shit, and, like, you can see all this crap. And somebody put, because I called pasta my Italian grandma. Like, they don't know that's a joke.
Fiorella has never said she's Italian. Neither is Johnny. They've always been proud Peruvians. I'm the Italian American. In fact, I'm 66% Southern Italian. I always point that out. But they never said that. But a lot of people feel because your name is whatnot. Well,
Latinos are heavily made up too. We're of Mediterranean. We have, we're like European descent and Native American descent. I have a lot of Mediterranean in me, and that's the fact. That's the fact that I have. And like, you can't use that and say that I'm Elizabeth Warren, because if you don't know, ethnicity of a Latino is a hodgepodge of things. Like we have the Moroccans invaded Spain, so you have Moroccan and Spanish. You have a lot of Italians that came to South America, and that's where this comes from. And then you have a lot of that in our culture, where you have the African, the European, the native mix. So it's an ethnicity. It's not a race.
Yes.
When sometimes you have to go on the census, they literally make you choose. What are you? Racially, Latinos, most of them are racially white, because there's no other classification for them. This is stupid that I have to explain this. And because I said that about Latino having to mark white when Elizabeth Warren was marking Native American, and that pissed me off, because I have more Native American in me than she will ever have. And people were like, "Oh, so you are white." I'm like, well, like, there is no like race difference between Hispanics and some when you go to the census. Like, it's unfortunate. Johnny has to put white sometimes, and Johnny is not white. Johnny is as brown as it gets.
Johnny indigenous.
Johnny is as brown as it gets, and he's forced to put white because that's just what they have. This is so fucking stupid, trying to discredit people for what they are. And like, like I said, Latinos, we're a hodgepodge. We're a mixture of things. Like, I know my grandpa always said he was Italian. My grandpa always said that he had this and that. I think we're even Asian. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
No, fam, the problem is you can't get a test back of the 3 you took, because they don't want to expose that you're part alien.
Well, that's too.
We're talking about.
We are actually alien.
UFO flying saucer alien.
Any hooser.
Andrea tipped $5 on the Super
Thank
Red.
you.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It says the other Andrea is a big time grifter. I'm a grifter. And there's also a nice cool dude by the name of, or might be a Mrs. Vivek Nayak. Thank you so much for the Super Red. We have almost 44 people on the Rokfin.
Oh, we're almost
we
so
need
close.
6 more, and if you can afford to subscribe to us, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We're trying to go from 84 to 100. That's great. Mad Wolf. Mad Wolf left some stuff on. Listen, we had 790 people. We had over 800 people. Let's get that number up. Keep it up on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining in today. I got a personal text from Gloria saying that we're on fire. Glory Jones, thank you so much. Glory Jones is always on fire. Love that girl. Mad Wolf, thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. It says, hey, Convo, keep exposing these fake as progressives. They're effing a joke. They talk about impeaching the current racist. They should also impeach the one that's about to take his place. F progressives. That's the thing. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, we're getting rid of this racist. We have your own segregationist racist coming in that you like that has a D next to his name. A little bit better for you guys. I get it. Like I said, golden opportunity to talk about Josh Williams, who's still being jailed for the Ferguson protest. Not riots, Ferguson protest. Thank you. Because that's what you people on the right now, the Trump people, right? You see, you have your protest. See how it does? It comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yep.
Because not one Black Lives Matter organizer I've ever seen incite violence. They leave early. It's never the organizers who causes problems, but you can't control other people coming to these protests. Just like you just had your situation over there.
Obviously, the cause is different, and you may not align with the ideology, but either way, like, people have the right to protest.
Yeah, let's acknowledge why so many people in this country on both sides of the aisle or just independent minding are hurt and thinking that they need to go out there and yell at their government to do something for them. Let's understand why they're there. Luis Brooks, thank you so much, Luis Brooks, for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Sending so much love. I trust and appreciate your perspective. The more truth you speak, the more they come after you.
Yeah,
that's right. Fee's been getting. I got hit that one day. Like I did a little video and I refused to put it up because I felt so like I'm like, wait, I was questioning myself by who I got attacked by on Twitter. That one dude, he was like, "You're a MAGA. You're joining the Confederacy." I'm like, Jesus Christ! And I kept just trying to talk nice to him. Melissa Petrovic, thank you so much for the super chat sticker. We do appreciate that. Like, share, subscribe. Guys, hit that like button, that thumbs up. We need you. And thank you for going over to the Rokfin. Let's get to In the News.
Jonathan, did you have anything? Or?
I'm sorry. Do you want to say something else about the last subject?
Damn, Nomiki.
No, Mickey, what you doing? Damn.
I think it's Nomiki. But
Nomiki. No bueno. That's what her name is. Tulsi starts a new podcast, fam.
Freedom of speech. I know Emma Vigilant already had a tweet saying, "Oh my God, she was on Dave Rubin."
Yeah.
Or Shift. Oh, she has a parlor. Like, what? So who cares?
Let's take a look what she has to say about the freedom of speech. And let me tell you something, fam. She's no longer an elected official. I think you're going to hear her name drop a lot more on her show and kind of point the arrow at who. I'm thinking she's going to be the anti-AOC person. Check it out.
Thank God.
Thing that is an unprecedented threat to the freedom of speech. We're not hearing that from many people in our own government at the highest levels, which should raise alarm bells given our society is set up on this foundation of fundamental freedoms, foremost among which is that freedom of speech. And again, I think this should be a cause for a lot of introspection amongst us as people, but also in holding our own leaders accountable, saying, how can you support this? The thing that is always interesting to me and that I've seen numerous examples of, especially over the last year, is how people, like AOC and others support these actions. But what happens if, Jack leaves Twitter and it's taken over by somebody who holds values different from AOC, and then the tables are turned and they decide, actually, you know what? We don't want to hear what you have to say. You hold views that we believe to be a threat to those that, that are held by the corporate, the C-suite boards or whatever of these. So the point being, like, the tables can turn very quickly, and that's really the danger of this. And when we talk about free speech, we talk about free speech, whether it's speech that we agree with or we don't agree with. We have to stand up in protection of that freedom, because if we only do it for our tribe or our people or people who we agree with, then we're really undermining that freedom overall.
Yeah, and of course, it's.
So it pretty much explains why the Democratic Party sucks. Yeah. I mean, the Republican Party sucks too. Most of those rhinos, they would say you're censoring the wrong people, but they had these lone wolves of libertarian-minded people who were like, hey man, We got to stop this censorship, whatnot, fam. And AOC, she got called out by Tulsi right there. Tulsi could have called out multiple people, but she did call out AOC
because she's a fucking hypocrite.
And Tulsi is the ringleader of this shit.
Yeah, and Tulsi, whatever you may agree with her or not on her policies, I don't agree with everything she says. Like I said, I think she's more to the right of me, and so we have our differences. She's pretty transparent of what she believes in, even if it hurts her. She's pretty transparent of what she believes in, whereas AOC like frames things and like tries to gaslight people into making them believe that she's on their side. Typical neoliberal Democrat tactic. Like, she is the new wave of neoliberals with a little bit more woke on the surface, and that's all it is. And Tulsi calling her out really makes me happy, because I mean, the things that I'm saying, I didn't even know Tulsi felt this way 100%. I had an inkling because of her legislation and her push to help whistleblowers, to help Julian Assange. She was the only one in the Democratic side to actually talk about that. But like, I didn't necessarily think like she felt this way, or I didn't get my ideas from Tulsi. I mean, I think she has raised concern for a lot of people, and I think she's a uniter, meaning she unites people across the aisle, and that's very dangerous for the establishment, which is why they smeared her endlessly. Yeah, and people like us too were in that way. Even though I'm more to the left of her, that doesn't mean that I can't also see that there are people who are politically homeless right now and really looking for somebody to convince them, hey, if you fight for a single payer, then maybe we can end wars. Maybe we can reduce the corruption in our government. Maybe we can get back to helping people get jobs in America instead of outsourcing jobs abroad. We can have these conversations, but when you vilify and say, wow, she's on Dave Rubin, that means she's a right winger, then you literally already have decided based on who that person is that they're like nothing they say is relevant. And that's not how it should be. It's backwards thinking. It's a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy. Some people who you may not agree with ideologically may say something that's correct. And the echo chamber, neoliberal, neo-progressive boutique left doesn't have a way to even do that. They automatically just dismiss people.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, to me, it was never about Tulsi herself. It was about the policies. Very vocal about 230, talking about this freedom of speech, ending the regime change wars, all that stuff in one. You mentioned about the whole whistleblowing thing. Talking about Daniel Ellsberg. What he had talked about, continuing his work, pardoning Assange, pardoning Snowden. Rewriting
a real threat to the security state.
Exactly. Even talking about elections too. The only ones back in the days. That's why she's always been on par. I'm not going to agree with everything she does and stuff. I probably agree a lot more than you do and whatnot and stuff like that. But I mean, this is the problem we have, and even the fact that we had that Trump supporter that I talked to, and I let people know that, hey, listen, I supported Tulsi because I want them to know when I'm going to talk to them that I'm not going to be attacking them. I'm going to be talking about things that we have in common, and a person who's going to reach across the aisle and say, let's talk about our differences. I mentioned to that gentleman right away that I am for Medicare for all, and I said, I know you're not, and I'm for some type of climate change like the Off Fossil Fuel Act and those sort of things. You're probably not there. And he started talking about that. I said, let's get off that and get back to what we're talking about today. But that's the thing. It's about understanding everything as a whole and looking at the nuance of the situation. Freedom of speech is important. And she said it plain and simple. What happens if somebody else takes over Twitter eventually and doesn't like your ideology and shuts you down? Whether we like it or not, these companies, even if they are privately owned, they broke antitrust laws. And what has become, Twitter has become, just like Facebook and all these other big platforms, they have become the public square. Okay? Mm-hmm. We can't shut down voices. Now, when it comes to Parler in the situation when it came to shutting them down, and in this Dave Rubin interview, David says, well, what would you do? Would you just abide by the law and that's it? And she goes, yeah, I would abide by the law. In other words, I would take down things that are
actual violence.
Actual inciting violence. You can't yell fire in a loaded theater because it might cause people to kill themselves and stamping and whatnot. It's illegal. So Johnny has the Parler up real quick. Johnny, let's go to that because I think it's the same spot right here. The freedom of speech. This is something that needs to be taken down off Parler. It says, I can barely read. We the Patriots the millions have arrived in Washington, D.C. carrying banners for the support for the greatest president in the world has ever known. But if we must, many of us will return on January 19th, carrying our weapons in the support of the nation's resolve to which the world will never forget. Now, listen.
You think that should be taken down?
I think so. Let's come close to it.
I don't even think so.
You're telling people to bring your weapons there.
Yeah. Well, he's saying many of us will return carrying our weapons. I think it's
borderline.
It's borderline.
It's questionable.
I don't even think that's. I think you could restrict that. I don't know. Flag it. because a lot of people are saying that. And now if you're going to say we're going to come and we're going to invade you at this time, get ready. Like, if you take it up a notch, I think for sure. Either way, I don't see that there.
Well,
but
it says
either
we will come
way,
in
like,
numbers that no standing army or police agency can match. However, the police are not our enemy unless they choose to be.
which is dumb because they're the police state.
Oh, well, that's the thing. They're going to serve the masters at the end of the
Yeah.
day and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a point of saying, the common folk right now can be police officers, whatever, our neighbors or whatever, but they serve the rich.
And
They're class
yeah,
traders.
and
They
you
always have been. If you didn't see that, what they were doing, we went, come on, Blue, we fought for you, as you're getting tear gassed.
Yeah,
hit with
they're
rubber
not your
bullets.
friends.
Hello?
And you could even say that, yeah, like this is kind of could get spread and people could do it. Yeah, you could even say that and take it
It's
down.
questionable.
That is actually something that, yeah. But what Donald Trump did, there is absolutely no proof that he was actually doing anything remotely close to that. And it's not because I'm defending Trump. It's because I'm defending the exaggeration and the hyperbole that is being used it will be used eventually to target any dissent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
keep going?
Yeah,
Before
let's
we
keep
do any
going.
super
Yeah,
chats? Okay,
yeah.
my bad. Lady goes off on Chuck the Schmuck Schumer. Check this out. Not on YouTube.
Part of this idea that you need unanimous consent for every senator to call back the office.
What a racist. I'm glad what the Trump protester did. Take your hands off me. No, you don't need to touch me. I'm talking to this racist anti-Semite. I am glad I didn't think that the Trumpsters had it in them. I didn't think the conservatives did. But you know what? You racist socialists can dish it out, but you can't take it. And remember this. Adolf Hitler was a socialist. And that's exactly who you follow. You're nothing but a coward. See, you kind of lose your guess. I actually got sexually excited over it. That's how much I loathe you. That's how much I'm glad what they do. And like
wow.
Well, I don't agree with the socialist part, and she
Yeah.
keeps going off. I mean, the thing is that, and I still have this kind of disagreements with a lot of people on the right that, well, it's socialism that's coming. Like, guys, please
That's
let's
not
stop about that.
socialism.
What you're really scared about is what they called you. Fascism, suppressing your speech.
Yeah.
The state,
that's what it is. Merging with the
merging
corporatocracy.
with the corporations, especially big tech. But that's the thing, and I mean, there is dislike for people like Chuck the Schmuck.
There is dislike, and people are going to blame the boogeyman on the right. They're going to blame socialism, and on the left, they're going to blame white supremacy. When it's really, in general, it's this authoritarian fascism that is attacking both any sort of dissent on the left or the right, and that's the problem that we have to really see. Stop. I urge the right to stop thinking it's socialism, and they are so far from being socialist. It's not even funny. Stop saying shit like that. It literally discredits anything you say with us, because that is what people on the left hear that and they're like, you're a fucking moron, because you have to understand that it's not the socialism, it's authoritarianism. And there can be authoritarianism in more leftist spheres, and there can be authoritarianism obviously on the right. And I'm against those authoritarian leftists that want to like form this sort of like authoritarian land where only whatever they dictate is legal, everything else is bad, and that I'm entirely against that. And I'm a leftist, and I'm consider myself more on the anarchist type of left, and I don't believe in anything that those people believe in. And I'm telling you, that is not the socialism that I have imagined in my head. And it's that behavior from the authoritarian left that gives impetus to the right to fear that, because that's what they're talking about. That's what they see, and that's what you're becoming, neo-progressives, when you fucking peddle this shit.
Mom says, watch with the cursing. Bernie Sanders, he says.
Bernie Sanders said,
I'm going to read this.
Yes,
because
you
I gotta
read
do it
that.
in my Bernie verse. In the past, Republicans used budget reconciliation to pass massive tax breaks for the rich and large corporations with a simple majority vote. As the incoming chairman of the Budget Committee, I will fight to use the same process to boldly address the needs of the working families. And everybody will get free knishes every February.
Thank you, Bernie. So Bernie has these plans, right, as the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, and I believe I put them down here. Okay, so of course, even though the Democrats are going to have a very small, minute, narrow control of the Senate, he's expected to have influence over the taxes, healthcare, climate change, and several other domestic issues. He is going to have control over, like what he mentioned, this tool called the reconciliation, which allows Congress to move some legislation without gaining 60 votes. And this has become a vehicle for several major legislative efforts of this century, including tax cuts under President Trump and President George W. Bush, and the final version of Barack Obama's signature health care bill, which was a failure, the ACA.
Ooh.
And then Sanders also said in this interview he wanted an additional emergency stimulus package to be, quote, big. He thinks it must include an additional $1,400 in direct payments for adults and children on top of the $600 that Congress just passed, along with money for states and cities to fund coronavirus vaccine distribution, testing, and contact tracing. He wants to also create a universal health care plan during the pandemic so people can get treatment whether or not they have insurance. He said he has been speaking with Biden. But he said, and this is really important as you can see his change in rhetoric, he said that he did not intend to try to force his long-held priorities, such as Medicare for All, into a relief bill, which is, I get why he's doing that, but it's also like, hello, this is a time to actually fucking do that, Bernie. But, Biden says that they're going to work closely with Sanders, blah, blah, blah. But, of course, Biden is against Medicare for All. Sanders' presidential campaign proposals dwarf Biden's cost and reach. Biden, of course, doesn't support Medicare for All and has empathized that the health care would be temporary if they even do that. And Biden's nearly, of course, tapped Bernie Sanders to be his labor secretary, though he decided against it. Reportedly because it would have risked losing Sanders' seat and Senate control in a special election. And of course, we know that Joe Manchin and other moderate Democrats refuse, right? Pretty much. I mean, he's a right-winger, let's be real. That an additional $1,400 is absolutely unacceptable. They do not want that. So again, this is why you don't just vote for Democrats. And Harry Reid even highlights that Bernie isn't that much of a radical, that he's never caused them that many problems. And he was the ranking member on the Budget Committee in 2014. And he said, even though he is a person who is known as a real progressive socialist, he never was a problem for my caucus. He didn't try to be a rebel. So there you go again. Bernie Sanders isn't the rebel that a lot of people thought he was. He actually is very nuanced when it comes to politics on the legislative insider level. And the issue he's going to run into is Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden is either going to be confirmed or denied to be the director of Office of Management and Budget. Yep. She's directly opposed everything he's ever stood for. Directly opposed all of the progressives and all of his supporters as well. So he doesn't want to talk about her. He said, let me not worry about Neera right now. And adding that his top priority is going to be the stimulus. So there we are.
Before we play the Army investigation of the officer for the possible psyops in D.C., I just want to point something out because since we were on Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Really quickly, and I talked about, what had happened. I think we had a show, and I was saying, what did Donald Trump actually do to incite violence? Because I remember him saying, we got to go and we got to fight like hell. We got to fight hard. And we're going to march to the Capitol, but we're going to do it with peace because we're the party of law and order. And by those standards, when they start taking little multiple pieces of Donald Trump saying this and stuff, and he said, I didn't put it in the folder because I don't want to sit here and kind of defend Donald Trump all the time on this situation, but he didn't incite violence. He said several times throughout that speech, we're going to do it peacefully. Look what Bernie says at the end of this Orr film, and I love Matt Orr. We got to meet him over the weekend, but isn't this by the same standards what the Democrats are trying to accuse Donald Trump of? The same thing? Take a look.
And I say enough is enough. Stand up, fight back, and make this government work for all of us.
Now, I'm just saying, that's just normal talk. That's normal red. Stand up, fight back. You know what I'm saying? We're going to march to the Capitol. We've started protest on the floor, on the steps of Capitol.
It should have been Bernie saying we're going to march to the Capitol and we're going to protest peacefully until we get Medicare for all. That's what I really would have been like. I'm not saying that I support the tactics that some of these people use. In fact, some of their own supporters were dismissing the tactics. They didn't like that. They were like, this was all good until those dumbasses went up there and started doing that. You can't create a monolith out of a group that isn't a monolith. And that's the thing. We don't like it when the right does it to us. We need to stop doing it to them as well.
Especially right now because they're using it to censor us.
Exactly.
They're going down to, you know what I'm saying? Because we've showed other leftist channels that have been taken down. I still can't believe the city council of LA. I mean, that is just blows my mind, ladies and gentlemen. These people are fighting for people to not get evicted. And they're showing up on Garcia's house saying, stop making people homeless in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, come on. Bam.
So the Army is investigating a PSYOPs officer for role in Washington on day of Capitol riot. Captain Emily Rainey led North Carolina group to Trump rally. And psychological operations officer Rainey, I am a private citizen. So she says. So this of course obviously led to the quote deadly riot in the Capitol by supporters of Donald Trump. Commanders at Fort Bragg are reviewing her involvement in last week's events in the nation's capital, but she said she acted within military regulations and that no one in her group broke the law. She said, quote, I was a private citizen and doing everything right and within my rights, end quote. And she told the AP this on Sunday. She led 100 members of Moore County Citizens for Freedom, which describes itself online as a nonpartisan network promoting conservative values to Washington to stand against election fraud and support Trump. She said the group attended the rally, but she didn't know of anyone who entered the Capitol and that they were headed back to their buses hours before an emergency curfew took effect. She's 30 and is assigned to the 4th Psychological Operations Group at Fort Bragg, according to Maj Daniel Lessard, a spokesman for the 1st Special Forces Command known as PSYOPs. The group uses information and misinformation to shape the emotions, decision-making, and actions of American adversaries. She made headlines in May after she posted a video online of her pulling down caution tape at the playground that was closed under North Carolina's COVID restrictions. Blah, blah, blah. So far, 90 people have been arrested. She said that her group and most people who travel to Washington are, quote, are peace-loving, law-abiding people who are doing nothing but demonstrating our First Amendment rights. Members of the U.S. military are permitted to take part in political organizations and events out of uniform. However, there are caveats. The Department of Defense directive prohibits active duty service members from sponsoring partisan organizations. It is unclear if Rainey's participation with her group on Wednesday went against DOD policy. She said she attended the rally while she was on leave and did not advertise that she was an Army officer. So
it's very fishy, fam.
Yeah. So again, like, you know,
4chaner.
Ourselves and Whitney Webb and several others that were there, you know, Steve from Slow News Day have been talking about how this is a giant psyops, right? So, like how this was a long time coming. This is what they wanted to do to rein in the next Patriot Act, Patriot Act 3.0 that you want to talk about, like this whole crackdown via censorship, via to just use the Republicans as a scapegoat, but really, when it comes down to it, really attack a lot of the left and dissenting opinions, criticizing the establishment and the oligarchy. And so when we saw that all these people were let in, like they were going for a museum tour, that really sends a signal like, wait a minute, something is off here. Why would they just let people in and let them do whatever they want? You're right. Like if this was an actual group of people that were really a threat and they didn't expect it and they felt threatened, they would have already brought out so much security. That didn't happen. So there's a reason for that. We need to keep investigating this. It's not a conspiracy to question what happened, because what happened is really, really strange. Yeah. They had more cops out there ready with zip ties. The cops had zip ties, which is interesting enough, because some of these protesters were found with zip ties, but the cops had zip ties when they were getting ready to arrest us for talking about force the vote and Medicare for all. But they had like nobody there really to really curtail these protesters. It's a little weird whether or not it's coming from I believe it's coming. It's deeper than a left-right paradigm. I believe this is the establishment, the three-letter agencies pushing this sort of altercation to bring crackdowns, and more evidence is going to come up to prove that. I think it's hard to say now this is what I think, because it's hard to find proof in that. The media is shaping this in a certain way. They're shaping this as an insurrection, as a coup, as a terrorist attack. So it's hard to speak against it, but
the way the mass censorship came out right away was really concerning. It was like, wait a second, the impeachment,
the resolution by Cory Bush.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think even though the New York Times had a couple articles that dropped right away, it was the Washington Post. Caitlin Johnstone wrote about it. It was just very fishy the way everything kind of took place. It doesn't seem kosher. Flying Boar, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. The left created a narrative that Trump supporters are racist. Well, that narrative turned on the left itself, just like Frankenstein turns on its master. It will definitely turn on itself.
Read some Marie Shelley.
You know what I'm saying? Tom Berry, I got to get on this guy's show. Tom Berry, get me on. We didn't get to connect because of the trips and the holidays, but I'm going to go on Tom Berry's show. Fam was on Tom Berry's show. What was it called? I like this guy a lot. You guys are doing amazing work, and I can't say thank you enough for your fearless reporting and commitment to the truth. Mr. Berry, you are awesome. Thank you so much.
Tom.
Justin B., even giving us more love. Love what you guys are saying about unification. That's exactly what we need right now. Green Party, People's Party, Independent, Left Libertarians. There's a lot of work to do, so we're going to need to do a lot of helping hands. Justin B., I will hit you up. You are the man. Love you. I think I missed one more. Democracies, David with a super sticker. Where's Democracies? You got Democracies? Can you read it, Johnny? I can't find it.
He said, you see Trump's video statement today on D.C. protest. I went and looked for it while you guys were talking. So I see on the whitehouse.gov website, there's a statement from the president today, January 13th. He says, in light of reports of more demonstrations, I urge that there must be no violence, no law breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. That is not what I stand for, and it is not what America stands for. I call on all Americans to help ease tensions and calm tempers. Thank you. And then the video, you have to go to the White House YouTube to watch it. So if you want to watch that, go there.
We'll check it out.
We'll check it out later.
We'll check it out.
But,
we did get over 50 people on the Rokfin. That's awesome. Glory Jones just left a little love over here.
Thank you, Glory.
Where's she at? Freebird.
Thank you, Freebird.
Andrea.
Thank you, guys.
Where's Glory's thing? Glory said something. I want to miss Glory's. We had 51 people over there. All these tools of the NatSec state are smoking.
National Security State.
All these tools of the national security state are smoking that good partisan Richard right now. And you know what that Richard means? Mary Hale also left some.
Good partisan dick pasta. Say it.
Hey, mama. My mom's already texted you a couple times. Listen, I just want to send some shout outs and some love. This is the Action for Assange sweatshirt I've been rocking. I love it. Steve Poikin, I got the
hashtag free Assange now.
I love you, Steve Poikin. I love you, Andrew. You guys are amazing.
Fucking Trump
Misty,
isn't freeing Assange,
Kendra, all these people. Look at I put that heart in there.
Aww.
All these people from Action for Assange.
All you fellow Nazi sympathizers and Nazi collaborators, we love you.
DJ Elf, get a fur hat, and the CIA can't harm you. We love you and stuff like that.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for having our backs, especially when we're receiving a lot of hate for people just not having their eyes open. A lot of people have asked us to talk about the Great Reset. I intend on having several people from who have really been doing a lot of uncovering on that on the show more and more. And we're definitely going to be talking about that. We're not afraid of tackling any subject because we don't do this for clicks or likes. We do this because we want to actually uncover the truth, whether or not it's a popular topic or not. Otherwise, we would have never touched election integrity with a 10-foot pole. Think about that.
Think about it, yeah. Think about it.
So there you go.
And I want to send a shout out to Niko House. It was Niko House shirt Wednesday, so I wore that right there.
That is a Niko House shirt.
That's a Niko House shirt.
It should have more colors and like all this crazy crap on it. And you need to have like a white strike on your hair or some shit like that.
I got my Action for Assange bands on, so go check out Action for Assange. Check out Slow Day News.
Slow News Day, fam.
Slow Day News.
You need pink
It's Slow Day News? Oh, shit.
It's Slow News Day.
Slow News Day.
I say Slow Day News.
Oh, my God.
I love you, Steve.
Like
love
insane.
You. It was great. Love you, Andrew. Loved all you guys. Kimber Maddox, Kendra.
You guys are awesome. It was great meeting you. It was Misty's
Christine,
birthday yesterday.
Misty, oh yeah.
All these Capricorns, man.
Oh
Happy
no,
birthday.
they lost.
These crazy Capricorns.
So fam. So like we say, Johnny's on the left and Fee's in the middle. We got a lot of followers. We ain't so damn little. Life ain't nothing but a funny riddle. Thank God I'm a Convo boy. Woo!
Cringe level extra, fams.
Combo out.
All
I've
right,
never heard of that song before, but yeah.
Combo out, guys. Peace.